my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. Content, hold your breath and feel the tension. Devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption. Breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking up daisies. Got one too many quarters in my pockets. Counting like the four-leaf clovers in my locket. Untied laces, yeah. Just tripping on daydreams. Got dirty little lullabies playing on repeat. Might as well just ride around the nursery and count sheep.
When it hurts like this, we climb the greatest heights, jump down and have a fight. And that's all we'll ever like, but that can never change my mind. When it's good, it's amazing. When it's bad, it's uneasy. I wouldn't
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Inside Fnatic's Brush, the fan made podcast by myself, your host, Matt Scott. Welcome for those tuning in for the first time, and thank you very much for your curiosity. For those coming in, this is your first episode. Welcome. Thank you for jumping in. Just to introduce myself a little bit, I'm Matt Scott. I've been doing this podcast since beginning of middle actually of January of this year, since the split started. I've covered spring split, MSI, and we're doing summer split right now on the Always Fnatic Twitch channel. So thank you very much to them for allowing me to doing this on their platform. I've been following Fnatic for what has been the better of 7-8 years now. Yeah, 2021. So that would be about that length. Been to live shows, had the chance to meet players, all that stuff. Still, following through thick and thin. So happy to cover on a sort of weekly basis, not only the LEC, but obviously Fnatic in a more sort of detailed approach. So the way it works, it's very simple. As you can see on this side here, we have today's topics. We always start with overviewing the LEC, then going into Fnatic, and then going to next week's predictions. The goal of this is to actually bring you guys on board. So I am currently in the Fnatic Discord. There's a voice channel called Community Podcast. And if you feel like jumping in, sharing your opinions, then give me a shout. You can tag me in the IFB podcast channel, say that you would like to talk about either LEC and Fnatic. I'll just unmute you and you can share your take, share your opinion. Just make sure obviously you're being very respectful and we can have a little conversation all around. So that's about that. I hope it's very clear. There's commands if you want to try them. I'm not really sure what they are. If someone can pop them out for me in the chat, that would be appreciated, just to redirect you on where you can go and what you can do. Cool. In that case, just a little introduction of what we'll be speaking about today. As you can see on your screen, we'll be looking at LEC, how Misfits almost stayed undefeated if it weren't for that ending for the Rogue game, which was a bit unfortunate for them. We'll obviously talk about the big games throughout the week, Rogue versus G2 as well, Schalke, Mad Lions, and other ones that there's a lot of bangers actually this week. Then we'll do a deep dive onto Fnatic. Very solid 2-0 week. Very happy about their performances. We'll mention some of the standout players during those two games. Then we'll dive into predictions for week 3. Awesome. Okay, let's get started then. So the standings so far, we have G2 and Misfits at the top on the 4-1 record. Tied for third, we have Rogue, Mad Lions, and Fnatic on a 3-2 record. Then we have the sort of middle to bottom part, which is sort of 2-3 record, Astralis, Excel, Schalke, Vitality. And still looking for their first win is SK. They're struggling. They get close, but it's close but no cigar, unfortunately for them. They have announced some changes in the way of, is it Lilip, I believe, which was the support for their SK Prime, their academy team, who will be moving upwards. Treat, therefore, staying as a jungler, which has been a bit surprising, to be honest, because I believe Kani, if that's pronounced correctly, is their jungler for SK Prime. From what I recall, he was touted to be a sort of decent player as a jungler, so we'll see. I don't know much about Lilip. Maybe he's a very decent support. Maybe he will fit in well, and maybe they can get their first win on the next week. But if you look at the top of the table, really, and the first two, you have Misfits who could have been on a 5-0 record when you think about it, and that's why you have the screenshot on the very right side, which is the insane Fiddle Ultimate by Inspired, which basically flipped the game for Rogue when at this stage Misfits has Baron. They're just pushing in at the inhib turret. They're about to close it, and just that one part of vision they don't get, they push a bit too far, and Fiddlesticks just does Fiddlestick stuff. Fears like 3 or 4 people, gives them the suck, and next thing you know, they're TPing mid, and Rogue is just ending it on this because timers are just much too long at this stage of the game. It's very sad. Like, they have Inferno Drake, they have Baron, they have everything to win. But with that said, Misfits is still looking really, really strong, and I was not expecting them personally to be at this level. Obviously, this is just like 2 weeks into the season, but still, they technically could be 5-0 right now if it weren't for that sort of Hail Mary ultimate by Inspired. So quite impressed by them. Obviously, Vitio still the sort of standout player. Maybe repeating myself, but also happy to see that he's not just Zoe one trick. He's doing a bit more than that. So I'm excited to see how much they do on the upcoming weeks. I think, I'm not sure who they're facing next week, but I think they still have a sort of easy schedule. So I'm not expecting them really to move anywhere else on the rankings, and keeping a very solid rank 1 with probably G2, who on the other side have the same scoreline, but definitely don't look as solid as Misfits do. They had a sort of bit of back and forth game, especially this week. They had a close game versus Rogue, which was an absolute fiesta in the bot lane. What's his name? Hansama and Trimby managed to get a very early 2v2 kill. Then Yankos gets a kill in return, and it's basically bot lane doesn't get to play the game for the next like 10 to 15 minutes. They just get dove on, they get camped really hard, and Reckless basically doesn't have to do anything. His whole team is just throwing themselves at Hansama and Trimby, and he's just throwing arrows in the distance like, I'm just collecting my paycheck. Thank you for the KDA, guys. But yeah, Inspire tried to bring back the Fiddlesticks. I'm not too sure. I think Fiddlesticks, especially in Pro, is just like a sort of conditional champion. He's great in solo queue, but he's got too many like counters within the sort of team perspective when there's a lot of communication, and you can interrupt him quite easily. And going into that second game, Inspired definitely didn't have as much impact. 069 scoreline. Obviously, KD doesn't mean everything, but it really shows that he was really behind on Yankos with his Rumble, who just kind of took over the game. And then even if it was really close, Odo Amne getting some key ultimates, Trimby getting some good grabs as well. Eventually, the G2 machine just took over the game, and they managed to have a win once more. So that's them at a 4-1 record. Looking at the rest, like actually day 1 of last week was quite a banger. So we had Schalke and Mad Lions, close game as well. Mad Lions won, but there was these spicy situations with Nuclear Interrise and Neon's Cogmod just spitting on people, but Yoya Volibear, and this guy has patented the Volibear to a new level. Like, he is so solid, and he manages to be relevant at any stage of the game. I'm impressed really by this player, and it feels like Volibear is just like his champion, and he can't be touched. So, Mad Lions, while having close games, I feel like they're one of the sort of better MSI teams so far. Like a lot of players have had a lot of teams coming from MSI have a bit of a burnout so far. Cloud9 definitely having a bad time. Sven only coming back now from the bench. RNG's bottom of the table. I believe DK is like doing a little bit of a role swap, and they lost against what's the name of the team? Is it NS or something? I'm not sure exactly what's meant to mean, what the name of the organization is. If anyone from the chat knows, let me know. But yeah, Mad Lions, at least they're keeping it up. They're keeping it up. They're doing their best in that sense. So that's pretty good for them. It's pretty solid. What else? I'm looking at other games there was on the first week. Yeah, actually, surprise win by XL against Mad Lions. See, so they had, what's his name, Dan on Xinzao, who was just challenging Elioya on his Hecarim and just chasing him for his jungle. So I was also pretty good and pretty surprising from Excel, who, again, there's a lot of question marks around their team. They can have these pop off plays, like Nuke Duck really had a very solid Azir game, and Patrick, who's always been sort of the standout player for Excel, seems to shine a bit more when there's like at least another solo laner who's able to keep his own ground, basically. So it's interesting to see Excel definitely get a few wins in the sort of early stages of this season, especially against bigger teams. We'll just have to see how sustainable that is going through the weeks, if they actually manage to be this sort of spoiler team, who can actually challenge the sort of top bracket of the rankings, or if they're just going to, like previous seasons, just crash and burn and stay at the bottom, not make playoffs one more time. We even had SK versus Schalke, and SK, while they're still at the bottom of the rankings, they're just so close of making it every single time. I feel like they have a very solid early game, but when it comes to more like team fighting and applying more pressure to the map, it's just not happening for them. It's just not happening. This is where they crumble. This is where they lose their leads, their map pressure, and this is where they're at 0-6. So will the addition of Lilip like change things next week? I don't know. Like, there's SK versus Excel. This could go either way. Maybe Lilip brings in a sort of unexpected alternative to SK and manages to turn it around. Obviously, it's definitely going to be an upgrade to Jez's, who really felt out of place, in how he was playing those games, and felt like a liability, getting caught multiple times, especially when he tries to go roam and try to get some vision. So I think more experienced and more a younger player will definitely help SK. Will they get their first win? I really hope. I don't know if you guys seen the tweets from the SK players. It feels really bad for them. Like, they had such a great team last split, and they're just really stuck at the bottom. And they're competitive, and they're not competitive in the sense that they're not even able to grab some key wins when they're not playing that bad. It's just they're not able to convert what they build in the early game. So yeah, that's a bit of like a standard overview. We can quickly talk about Vitality. Don't want to talk about the Vitality Fnatic game just yet, but there's obviously the Vitality SK game, which was just massive stomp. Like, obviously there was a lot of frustration coming from Selfmade when he lost against Fnatic, and he was talking about, there's a different form of Vitality. There's one in the one we have in the what do you call it? in the scrims, and this is what we want to show. And then when they completely rolled over SK, they were like, yeah, that's our level. I still think that there's a bit of clash of a play style and sort of playing personalities. So not personalities of players between them, but the way they play, in the sense that there's multiple resource heavy players in this team. So I think this need to find the player who's going to be able to sacrifice himself and bring their resources. Usually that would be the role of the jungler, but we'll see. Kryze obviously has played the Lulu in the top lane. Wait, was he Lulu or was it Karma? I can't remember. Let me check. Let me see. Yeah, so he played Gwen, obviously, and then this one. Where was it? Wait, no, I'm confusing. I'm confusing with SK. Sorry, with what's his name? No, I'm. What am I talking about? Oh no, I'm confusing with Excel actually. Forget what I said. I'm just confusing everyone here. So, with that said, this is usually the time where I open the stage to the viewers. So, as I mentioned, if you want to jump into the Fnatic Discord, find me in Community Podcast. I will be there. If you have any opinions on what's happened on LEC, if there's any game, any plays, any highlights you would like to mention, this is your time to shine. Again, I'm not forcing anyone. I don't know. Let me see. I'm going to try something if I miss this. Oh, let's go. Perfect. Yeah, so you can jump in Fnatic Discord right here. You'll see me in the voice channel Community Podcast. You can also use the chat as well. If you have any opinions on about what's happened in the LEC so far, what do you think about Misfits' performance? What do you think about G2 still being at the top, despite kind of struggling in their start? The stage is yours. If no one wants to jump in, I'll just move on forward. But again, there's no judgment here. This is just a conversation. I'm in no way a professional, analyst whatsoever. Sorry about the noises. It's just very hot where I am, and I have to open, but I'm right next to the street, so I'm sorry about the noises in advance. But yeah. If you join, Mascot will never let you leave. Well, why do you have to? Why do you have to say that, dude? They never come. You've given away my secret. God damn it. But hey, Mandingo, since you be of chatty nature, have you had the chance to watch the LEC this week? He left. He's just put his message and he's left me. Or he's not typing fast enough. Yeah, he's a way to chat about FIFA. That's what it is. He's just dropping a meme, watching LEC during Euros. I mean, surely you have more than one screen. I'm sure you can be watching LEC and Euros at the same time without being such an issue. They're not at the same time. I mean, isn't there's games at 9, right? So that would usually be the last game of LEC usually, or one of the last games, depending if it's on a Friday or Saturday. What I think about Bwipo Jungle, everything about Fnatic, there's a segment about it, so I'll definitely mention it. And Bwipo is one of the players I want to highlight. So yeah, we'll talk about it. But I can say it's definitely positive, but we can mention that a bit later. Let's see, are people Talion's in the IFB podcast channel. What is he saying? Until I see G2 fall, I will still be worried about them as favorites, even with them losing last split. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's that G2 can be that scary beast. For me, Reckless has been really, really strong in putting G2 on his back, especially this week. He's playing Varus really, really well. And even when his team is kind of monkeying around and, as I mentioned, just like diving, he's just staying at the back and collecting the KDA, collecting the gold. So he's able to definitely transition this and at a much faster pace and not having to wait the sort of mid to late game to really be impactful, but definitely be able to take over the game. So yeah, I think Reckless is kind of being unlocked recently. Um, I'm not sure how much Nelson is having an impact so far on the G2 squad, but I think this is going to definitely be a long term thing. I think it's normal for them to be still a bit shaky, get challenged even by Astralis. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Still be challenged by Astralis, but while they're being challenged, they're still able to win these games, and and close them and get those wins at the end. So yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one, as well as we're facing them next week, or this week I should say, on Saturday. That's game of the week. I don't know if you guys seen the trailer, but yeah, it's going to be a banger as usual. But this time I'm definitely feeling a bit more confident about Fnatic facing them. Let me see. If this one ends up being a short one, let's just talk about the Euro. I mean, well, all I'll say is I'm happy France qualified and got first, and I'm sad that Scotland did not qualify. But I'm just happy they participated, and I think they're happy they participated as well. So that's what I'll say. Am I gonna watch the face-off between Carlos and Sam? That's on Monday, right? I'll see. I'll have to check out what time it is. It might be while I'm still working, so maybe if I hide myself in a corner at the office, I might be able to. Or maybe if I work from home. If I work from home remotely, then that can be fixed. I'll have to look at my agenda, see my availabilities. Welcome, Arjona or Arjona. I'm never sure how to pronounce your name, Arjona, Arjona. You'll have to excuse me on that one. But yeah, it seems that nobody has joined me. Fair enough. There's less interaction ever since I moved on Twitch.tv, guys. What's going on? What's going on? But fine. In that case, we'll just move on forward to your favorite team, and the reason why you've tuned in, Fnatic. Fnatic facing Vitality and XL last week, getting both wins. Great performances. I'm really, really happy that we got those key wins against those teams. Obviously, against Vitality, it's a bit better in that sense because obviously the grudge. Well, I mean, it's not really a grudge, but obviously you want to win against Self-Made. But then there's the two Adams. There's our Adam and there's the Adam Litter, and it's always nice to win against Litter because everyone was like, "Oh, Fnatic should have gotten Litter. Why'd they get this cube?" Blah, 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 blah. And it's like, clapped, dude. Clapped. So yeah, even like on a Yone, it's like, oh, he's picking like a challenging sort of assassin-like champion. Blah 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 blah. He did nothing. He did nothing the whole game. We had like, I mean, so the reason why you're seeing this this meme I've kind of came up with is because it was a massive boxing match. Like the draft, like it was just like purely melee champions just punching each other in the face, and whoever punches the hardest wins the game. We punched harder, and we punched a lot. What I really liked, and for those who maybe have watched the what do you call it, the voice comms, it was definitely much cleaner compared to previous split. It's much calmer. They're going in the same direction, and even and something I was quite surprised by, they even called to sort of tone down the aggression and to step back, which right now the current composition is just like of players, I should say, is just go in, go in, go in, go in. And while we did this on multiple times, it felt like the game was over like very early. Whippo roaming in the bot lane, baiting the engage from Vitality, getting like a triple kill. So they got Labrov, and then what's his name? Selfmade tried to come in, try to salvage something, gets caught with the Braum passive. Then Litter decides it's a good idea to TP in, gets slapped as well. Bwipo gets all the resets in the world, and that was that. So, um, it was quite a convincing game. Uh, Good map presence, like in terms of neutral objective control as well. And every time we engaged the fight, it never felt like we were going too far. We we really managed our team fights properly. There were maybe like some engages, but it didn't really matter because we were so far ahead that afterwards it was just a complete cleanup. So we really had, I think, against Vitality, like a demonstration of what we're able to do as a team. We had obviously the Kalista Braum, uh, exceptional performance by Upside. He got the MVP for that game, and that's absolutely normal. It's quite funny actually to see Upset in the highlight reel saying he picked Kalista so he doesn't get KS'd anymore, which is definitely one of the main reasons why we kind of struggled before. Like especially when he picked the Kog'Maw, he was getting 0 kills on a sort of hyper scaling ADC. So at least there he was a bit more in control. Completely demolished it. Kalista just works really well on a player of his caliber. Highly mechanical, very good positioning. I think he just got cut off once, and even then, like he sustained quite some time. So that was pretty good. And moving then onto the Excel game this time, was slightly a bit closer due to many reasons. Um, we had a lot of like 1-for-1 team fights, and obviously they had the Ezreal that was scaling, so making a bit of a challenge. We went again with the Kalista pick, so and the Braum as well, I believe. So this time, Helisang was really when Hylissang is at his top form, this is the top type of demonstration he's able to do. His Braum is really immaculate. Like I have so many memories of him playing his Braum in previous seasons where he will just like jump to a minion, flash and Q someone who's on the other side of the map, and just layer all the CC on top of it just to catch someone off. It just doesn't miss. It just doesn't miss. It's like a heat-seeking Q, and the fact that he's able to catch the Ezreal when we're in that sort of ARAM mid lane kind of team fight, jumps to the minion, Qs, ulties, and Ezreal just can't move, and they just completely take over and win that team fight really, really hard. Adam had a bit of a struggle. And I guess on the Vitality game, he got 1v1 because he kind of misplayed. At the same time, he did sacrifice his lanes so he could push away Selfmade away from his jungle. So he definitely created a lot of pressure, and it's actually nice to see Adam able to create that sort of sacrifice and pressure for his team. Like he's definitely thinking at things on a more global aspect, and even picking stuff like his Olaf, where you'd think, he needs to get ahead to not fall behind and be irrelevant. It didn't really matter when it came down to team fights. He managed it really well. He didn't get caught too much, and he managed to be like an actual fifth member instead of being like someone who the rest of the team is fed just drags him behind. So obviously against Vitality and then against Excel, where he was being hard camped, he fell behind really, really hard in terms of CS. He was the first one to lose his turret as well. and it just took um, Upset roaming on the top side, Adam just baiting Excel while they were destroying his turret, and he was back in the game. He was just back in the game, just as quick as that. Gets one kill, gets a shutdown, and um, further down during other team fights, manages to clean up, be much more of a front line, and when we get chased in the bot lane, and Hilly just goes for an absolute suicidal plays like he does, like Upset, ults him away, and while they're trying to escape, and he just goes back into Excel like, I don't give a crap, guys. I'm just going in. My name is Hilly Sang, and I only know one way, and that way is forward. So we actually managed to win the team fight, and when there was this massive engage, Adam just swept in with the Croc, give them a good like call of the meek, and was still relevant and able to act as a cleanup. So it's obviously there's always a bit of question marks when he's struggling about on the early game, having this sort of weak side kind of situation. But the fact that he's able to bring himself back into the game, that's really really nice to see. Because you don't want him to be focused so hard that it just becomes easy for teams to attack him, dive him, focus on him, and you're basically removing 1/5 of Fnatic, and you're playing 4v5. So that can't be the way Fnatic is playing, and the fact that he manages to stay relevant despite a complicated early game, that's really nice to see. So solid 2-0 week for Fnatic. We've definitely seen some progress, not only in their shot calling, as I mentioned, where much more calm and collected. There's a clear shot caller within Whippo, obviously moving to the jungle position, and there's less like screaming, shouting different orders of, oh, we go in, we don't go in. Everyone seems to be on the same page, so that's quite encouraging. Whippo as well, just to answer whose question was it? Yeah, about what I think about Buepo. I definitely think he's coming more and more into the role. I'm looking at that progressive improvement week on week, and for me that will definitely be determined on this week as we face G2, which as Talion mentioned, that we need to take them seriously on that aspect. And if we win against G2, I think that would be a good statement of what level we're playing at. Just depends on the way we beat them. I'm expecting very much a brawl. It's going to be, I think, an interesting game, especially in the bot lane. Reckless seems to be having a good start to the season. Obviously we have our bot lane, which is definitely one of the best ones, if not the best one in the LEC. They haven't had the chance to get any 2v2 kills, but that doesn't really matter when you see last two games, the Kalista Braum duo, the impact that it had. I'm not expecting us to play Kalista Braum more this week. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe we're keeping these comfort picks, but I'm expecting teams to sort of prepare against it. So we'll see how that develops going forward. But yeah, I think that's about it. What I wanted to say. I'm just gonna check my notes real quick, but yeah, I think we've covered everyone. I'm not gonna mention Niski again, because for me Niski is just that one solid player. He had the chance to play the Akali, completely smashed it. As Akali does it, but he had some very good plays, especially when Litter tries to catch Hillisang on the tier 1 mid turret. Then there's a chase on this bottom side, blue side bottom of the map, and on the other side Niski just sort of flanks and gets an important kill on Ezreal on his own. So getting very good like assassin approach just solidifies Niski for me in that sense. And obviously his Zoe. I mean, his Zoe is something else. Holy moly, dude. It's like the angles he's able to get this guy. I'm not sure what marks he had in maths, but he's pretty decent. He is pretty decent on his Zoe. Managing to get his sleepy trouble bubble. I think I'm pronouncing this correctly. But yeah, Niski is just like he's your certified guy. It's like you know nothing's gonna go wrong with him. Like I can't remember a game where Niski has been really that much at fault where it's like, God, he's costing us the game. Like if we lose a game, he's definitely not the worst player. Like maybe he won't have as much impact as we maybe expect him to have, but he's definitely not doing like weird plays that are just gonna cost Fnatic the game. So yeah, really satisfied with our performance, the level that we're showing so far. This week's gonna be definitely a test of strength as we're facing G2 and I think we're facing Astralis, so that should be fine. Although Astralis can be a bit dodgy, like they definitely have been pushing some top teams these past weeks. They're 2-3 so far. We'll see if they stay kind of at sort of that mid-table bracket, but I'm expecting us to be really solid, just like we were against Vitality, and not let us get surprised by any shenanigans from them. So yeah, again, this is your time to shine, guys. Hello to everyone who is joining. Thank you for jumping in. Again, if this is your first time, really appreciate you tuning in. I hope the format is enjoyable. This is really me rambling on my own, but that's why I opened the stage to you guys. So again, if you want to talk about Fnatic's performance, now is your time. Meet me in the Fnatic Discord community podcast. Just join me in the channel. I'll unmute you and we can have a conversation. You don't need to be shy. Every opinion is fine, as long as you're being respectful, obviously. But if anyone wants to drop the commands in there, I'm just going to put it again for you guys. Boom. There you go. discord.gg/Fnatic. I'm just going to read some of your comments. In the meantime, what's Talion saying again? The first game was on him. Which first game are you talking about? The Vitality one? Where we threat Herald when he chased? Yeah. It's on him, but I think there's like just general miscommunication. I know what you mean. But then, and he was calling to. I think that's the biggest one where we can fault him on that one. But apart from that, it's. But that's a very good point actually, Tyan, on the Misfits game where he chased the Kali when he should have just stayed around and calling to fight when we had Baron instead of recalling, which is actually quite surprising. Usually you would expect that type of call from maybe Helisang or Bwipo, who are really the go forward guys. Apart from like the way he played, like even on his Lucian, Fred, that it just, I think he needs to review his shot calling overall. But I'm trying to see anyone who's left some comments in between. No, pretty much covered it here. Opinions on Bwipo jungle, I've given that one. Nemesis or Niski? What? Like why? I mean, they're two very different players. I think we were happy to have Nemesis when things were working out, and it's. I think depending on the players you have around, you either want a Nemesis or a Niski. Um, I just think Niski is more flexible in terms of how he allows the team to play their picks. But again, like I don't know what happens behind the scenes. I don't know what Nemesis says to his teammates. But from the way he talks about the game, he definitely has a specific idea of like what champions need to be played and how they need to be played and the meta and stuff like this. And I believe was it Bwipo who mentioned that that was kind of blocking him into picking certain champions that maybe Nemesis deemed not as good or as impactful. And yeah, I'm really happy to have Niski on the team so far. Was wondering exactly how he would fit into the team and what he would bring. He just brings a lot of stability, and he's very, in my opinion, it's like he's very smart on how to play his lane and how to sort of create pressure when it comes down to split pushing. So he's how would I call this? He's a very well-rounded player, basically. He's not necessarily going to do like insane pop-off plays, although he has done them. Like he has done insane like shockwaves on his Oriana, for example. But that's not what he's looking for. He's just looking for that consistency, not being a sort of reliability. Sorry, I'm just gonna take a drink of water here. And in the end, um, you know, see what he's able to do today, and he just seems to be meshing well with the team. On top of that, he's a very merry player, super nice to have around. He's definitely bringing good vibes to the team. So I think all of that just works really well within not only the current team we have, but within the how do you call it, the direction we are seeming to be going into, which is having players who are in sort of same wavelength, not too much sort of diva personality or creating issues in how they want to play the game or how they want to be with the team and things like this. So, I think he's definitely the sort of player you want to have around for the project that Fnatic is trying to build. What are you guys saying? We haven't watched Nemesis play in pro for 7 months, so it's hard to say. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can obviously look at his solo queue games in Korea. He's playing insanely well. A lot of highlight plays. He is a very. I mean, you can't deny that Nemesis is a very good player. He's definitely very good mechanically as well. Very smart on how he plays the game. It's just there's a lot of very good players in solo queue. It's just when it comes down to pro, there's a lot more variables that you have to take into consideration. So you can't just rely your decision on skills itself. It's how you fit within the team, the role you play, your sort of mood, I guess you would say, and how you mesh well with other players and your interactions with them. So it's all kind of these elements. I see. World's 2020 performance. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like when he had those performances, we were super happy to have him, and then it's like other elements where let me see. He wasn't on his best form. It's also affected by the team because he was basically a support for self-made. I mean, again, it's the players around. It's how you want to play the game, and if are you able to play this with basically the cards you're being dealt, which are your teammates. So we've made some changes. We've moved Bwipo into the jungle. Bwipo, who's definitely has a more less, sorry, I should say less of a resource heavy style, and he's definitely willing to enable his lanes to get ahead. And he's doing this really well, and that's definitely the division he has on the gameplay, where in the initial off season, so before spring split, he was considering to not have self made and have a player like Yankos instead. And I think that's why the Bwipo move just makes more and more sense, and we'll probably see it in the upcoming games as well. And then you have a player like Adam who's really hungry to perform at the highest level. So you look at all of this, and the pieces seem to be coming in together. Bot lane's just match made in heaven. Upset is a massive sim for Hylissang. Hylissang is really happy to play with Upset because it unleashes him a bit more. So, yeah. What's it? What do I think of Fnatic's world performance? The 2020 Worlds performance? I mean, I think it was a surprising performance, seeing how, we kind of crumbled in the later stage of summer split. But we almost won against was it TS, I believe. I mean, we're one game away of progressing, and who knows how we would play against Sunning. Like, I'm not saying we would win against Sunning, but it's like it's a whole different scenario going forward. So um, what happened. You can't rewrite history at this stage. It's just these things just happen to have played out the way they have, and there's not much you can do, and sort of take the consequences, and understand that right now the current structure of players that we have is actually working much better. So I don't think there's much reason to talk about past players. For me, it's kind of in the same sense. Like, Fnatic 2015 was so great. Fnatic 2018 was so great. Yes, we've been at the top. We were one of the best organizations ever. Now we're rebuilding. We have this current team. We don't know if they're gonna stay together. Bwipo and Hilly are ending at the end of their contract this year. Who knows what happens next? And if we win summer, does that mean suddenly Bwipo and Hylissang are like, shit, we're gonna stay? Hilly is like already 26, and he's still like one of the best supports. But it's possible they starts to think like, okay, what are my next moves? Maybe I don't know how much he's thinking about retirement or like sort of safety net, but maybe at his age are like, oh well, NA looks kind of attractive. I think if you put Hylissang in NA, he's just gonna ruffle stomp any support, and it's gonna be him versus Core JJ basically fighting for the number one spot. But Hylissang in NA, he's just gonna bring a whole new level of engage, that any players who maybe are a bit more passive, they're going to say like, holy shit, why is this guy in my jungle facing me level 2 just to clear a ward or something, or just to stop me from recalling, who is this mad lad, get away from me. And it's like, Hylissang with bloodshot eyes, just like, I don't care if I'm 0-3, I'm just going to fuck up your tempo and put my team ahead, so I'm just kind of rambling here, but it's kind of the same with Bwipo. If Bwipo has an amazing year, wins LEC summer as a jungler, he's gonna get insane offers. Cause like moving from top to jungle, and being very successful within your first split of trying, I mean, hello, it's just like. Obviously Parks has always been a very good player, but even when he moved to ADC, and then it's like he's just so good that people are willing to pay insane amount of money to have him back in the mid lane. So it's that's the kind of thing that happened. Is like you have this player with insane knowledge about the game, and he's able to apply it in a role which heavily relies on knowing different roles, knowing wave states and timers and tempo and things like this. Yamato's been repeating it multiple times that he values a player of the caliber of Bwipo, who has incredible knowledge of the game. So you have to consider about all of this. So we'll see. We'll see. Right now, we're just taking it week by week, and we'll see what happens. If we continue getting these 2 weeks, then we're looking really good. And if we're showing progression, wide range of like a champ pool as well, which I think is really doable, especially with the players that we have. Like the fact that we have a player like Adam, which I'm pretty sure can play top meta champions and have his pocket picks, is super super valuable. So yeah, that's always nice to have as well. Hope we never see NA Bwipo. He deserves better. I mean, you could say that about Alfari, you can say that about Sven, you can say that about Perks. They're gonna go get that bag, dude. It's just you can't compete with NA money and the environment and everything. Even if they end in the scenarios that they're in, like Alfari getting benched, and now I don't know if you guys seen the recent news about Team Liquid. Jat has resigned. Alfari now sort of a 6-man situation, but I don't feel he's going to be sort of the main player for TL. It's still going to be crap, I forgot his name. Jenkins. So Sven is only getting unbenched now, when initially it was an interview where it was like, yeah, Sven is probably not coming back this season. And then in the end, he's back. Perks is having some really questionable performances as well. So, but I'm sure they're very sad, drying their tears with, NA money and just securing their future. So it's obviously you want these players to be able to perform in LEC and bring the region up and represent us on the international stage. But there's more than just being able to perform. And for a long time, people have said if you're not on Fnatic or G2, there's no point. Now maybe with teams like Mad Lions who are able to change the status quo, bring in rookies and lift the trophy, maybe there's going to be a whole new trend going forward, and people are going to say, oh, well, there's definitely a chance to be able to be competitive and actually win a split while not being signed with Fnatic or being signed with G2. But these teams like Rogues and Mad Lions, Misfits right now, I mean, look at them, just doing so well. Being a top dog. So I think we have to consider all of this, obviously. NA is always going to have their insane level of cash because of the sponsors and the cash flow they have. We're not that level yet here in Europe, but our value is not in our salaries. It's definitely in our performances, and it just comes down to the players at their stage of their career. Do they value more their performance and what they're going to leave in the history books, or do they value more the security in their future? Esports, while it's been many years, it's been around, it's still kind of young, especially when it comes to the future of professional players. We're obviously seeing more and more of them having roles within organizations as staff, coaches, assistant coaches. We've had Kadro being able to move to a casting position and being one of the best at it. Really an amazing addition. Possible that Bwipo moves in there as well. Like every time he's on the desk, everyone's just amazed at all the insight he's able to bring in to the shows, to the caster desk. So it's a bit of a mixed match, but we'll see. Just to bring back onto the subject of Fnatic. Right now they're still contracted with us They're definitely working their hardest to bring us those W's. They're doing really well so far, and they hopefully do very well this week as I transition to predictions, unless someone wants to jump in. But I'm not seeing anyone in the voice channel. This will have been a fully solo podcast. So yeah, just me, just you and me. Hope you enjoy it. But yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll move into day one of week 3 of the predictions. We are neck and neck, guys. Pretty much because we had the same predictions last week, and I think it's the same for this week as well. So we probably have the same score again. Right now I think we have clear winners, like clear top teams, clear strength being shown within those first weeks. So Misfits itself, I think Misfits is going to continue with their top form. Mad SK, while SK, they've just gone for another change in their support, so I don't think they'll be able to go challenge Mad. Maybe if they do, they take him by surprise, but I doubt it. I think Mad is doing their best to stay solid and looking as one of the best post MSI teams. Schalke versus Rogue, I think that's actually going to be a close one, to be honest. Kire has not been playing as well as we expected, but Nuclear Int has showcased some solid performances and has put his team on his back. So I'm pleasantly surprised by his performances, and I'm very happy to see rookies, especially coming in the middle of a season, being able to perform that well. So that's good to see. That's very promising. Fnatic Astralis, we should be winning this pretty cleanly. Vitality versus G2. I definitely think G2 is going to win this, but I'm just hoping Vitality puts a bit of a fight like they did against Rogue. Just to show that they're here to fight. I'm a bit disappointed that they're not higher in the rankings so far. I was definitely expecting a more explosive start from them, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't think I think I've had only one perfect week so far, and that was last week on the second day. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Moving on to day 2. This is actually this is where we split decisions. So the one of us, either me or you guys, the community, will get ahead of the predictions. SK versus Excel. You guys voted Excel, which I can understand. They've showed some solid performances. I think SK is just gonna be so frustrated from losing that they're just gonna go absolutely insane and try their hardest to at least win against Excel, who's another team who's kind of bottom of the barrel so far. I mean, I think they're like on the second half. So it's while it's kind of battle of the bottom teams, I still think it's going to be an interesting clash here. Schalke versus Misfits. I think definitely Misfits still the most solid team. Can Schalke challenge them? Maybe. I don't think they'll be enough to beat them. But again, there can be a surprise. Rogue Astralis should be a Rogue game. Vitality Mad. I'm putting Mad Lions, but again, I think Vitality, they've shown the level of performances they can put on stage. So we'll see. We'll see if they can again challenge Mad Lions. G2 versus Fnatic, and this is it, guys. This is the banger game of the week we'll all be looking forward to. Let's go Fnatic. That's all I have to say. No, more seriously, like I truly believe that actually Fnatic can get a win. While G2 is getting those victories, there's definitely a lot of cracks in the armor that we can exploit. I think what we need to make sure is that we show some sort of regularity in the way we're playing against them and some consistency. The only thing I'm maybe afraid of is that if we make like a slight mistake and we give them like shutdown gold, we let them come back, that it's just going to flip it around and we're going to miss an opportunity to get a crucial win. So another 2-0 week would be really nice to have. If we go 1-1, I mean, it's fine, but I think we really need to win this G2 game just to make a statement and say, yeah, this new format of Fnatic is here to fight, and we're going all the way. And we're, you know, we I think once we beat G2, we've basically passed all the top teams, so we have an easier schedule going forward. So if we manage to get G2, then the next weeks going forward, we'll have to face SK, Schalke, and I think we'll have pretty much done the whole teams. 3, 4, 4, 7, and 9. Yeah, so that'll be the full first half actually. So next week that would be. So yeah, I think a win against G2 is super important. So let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. I don't know if you guys have any predictions. Who do you think is gonna win? I think SK will win. I mean, I think again, as I mentioned, I think there's going to be some frustration in them. They definitely want to push it to the limit, and like they've shown some positive elements. Like it's not like they're completely bad. Like their 0-6 scoreline, I don't think really reflects the level of play that they've shown. It's just that they didn't have the keys to be able to convert it into a win. So maybe I'm just sort of rolling the dice on that one and hoping that Lilip brings a lot of change. Again, like I know nothing about this player, but that's kind of in that situation. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a high chance that Excel wins. If SK wins, then I take the lead on you guys. So it's a win-win for me in any case. But yeah, hype meter for Fnatic versus G2, absolutely. It's gonna be an absolute banger here. I'm actually looking forward to Jankos versus Whippo. Jankos is such a smart player, and against someone who also plays with a lot of like knowledge when he approaches his ganks, his camps. It's going to be a bit of a chess game between them. Or it's going to be a complete client fiesta and there's going to be like 30 kills at 15 minutes. Who knows? There's a possibility. I think it'll also depend very much on draft. Important predictions: Portugal versus Belgium, Germany versus England. Portugal versus Belgium. Belgium's actually been playing really well. It depends on how many penalties Ronaldo can get his hands on. I'm kidding. I'll probably give it to Portugal. They're looking decent. Germany versus England. Germany had a pretty good game against Portugal, and against Hungary it was a bit touch and go. England, they're not looking so hot. I'll give it to Germany. What do I think about Reckless said that he wanted LEC to be 7 days a week like Korea? I mean, and if it's 7 days a week, that would mean moving into best of 3. Exactly. So there's actually a topic on the Fnatic Reddit about this, and what I said about this is that I don't necessarily think that us moving to best of 3 is suddenly going to make us lift a Worlds trophy. I think it's definitely a component that makes a difference, but it's not the only one. You have to take into consideration culture, solo queue environment, the way they train as well, and sort of psychology that there is within teams, and the relationship between players and coaches, like all these things that are completely different in the LPL and LCK, and which while it definitely creates burnout, it still helps them lift those trophies year after year and be the most dominant regions pretty much since the beginning, really. So I I the thing is that what's going to enter the balance here is viewership, which is something LEC deeply relies on, especially when it comes to keeping their partnerships and their sponsors. So, um, would having LEC in the evening during the week impact viewership? I think so. Um, best of threes. I don't know. I do not know. It's hard to tell. I mean, obviously, like Reckless is a pro player, so I definitely understand that he sees more value into it. But it's like, how much more value does it give you in regards to um, international performance? Obviously, you can play more comps. You can play, different strategies. Makes a lot of sense. But after that, is that going to be the difference maker when we meet seed one of China, seed one of Korea, whoever that may be after summer? So I don't know, I'm not well versed enough to really make a sort of good argument about it. But for me, it's just like, I understand where he's coming from, but I don't think that's necessarily gonna be so much of an advantage that it's worth maybe sacrificing some audience and making the LEC a less attractive product, sorry, um, for sponsors, for instance, because that's what makes the quality of the show as well, is that we're able to, well, the LEC is able to bring in all these quality third party brands onto the show and create all that content next to it and have those amazing stages, amazing caster and staff that entertain us every week and bring great analysis, bring great banter as well, and just give us the best show ever. So yeah, but thank you for those questions, guys. Super interesting. Really appreciate your input. But that will be it for our show. It's already 10 p.m. So thank you for everyone tuning in. Again, if it was your first time coming, I hope you enjoyed the show. You can always jump again on the Fnatic Discord, on the IFB podcast, to bring in any feedback, anything you'd like to see, anything you don't want to see anymore. Maybe my face. I hope not. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Let's go Fnatic versus G2. And yeah, always Fnatic. Thanks again, guys. Bye bye.